What if I told you that some of the greatest voices in R&B didn't fade into obscurity? They vanished by choice. At the very peak of their fame, Grammys in hand, platinum records on the charts, they walked away from it all. These legends turned their backs on the spotlight and chose freedom over fame. But why? Was it the crushing weight of industry pressure, heartbreak buried deep, or secrets too heavy to carry? In this powerful episode of Starscope, we uncover the shocking truth behind 20 R&B icons who disappeared not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Their stories will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about fame, success, and the cost of stardom. Stay with us until the very end, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because keeping their voices alive begins with you.
Lauryn Hill.
Lauryn Hill wasn't just a rising star, she was a cultural earthquake. First making waves with the Fugees in the mid-1990s, her magnetic presence, razor-sharp lyricism, and soulful artistry instantly set her apart in both hip-hop and R&B. But in 1998, her solo debut The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill didn't just launch her career, it changed the game. Blending soul, reggae, and hip-hop, the album spoke raw truths about love, faith, identity, and motherhood with a vulnerability the industry rarely allowed. It sold more than 19 million copies worldwide, swept 5 Grammy Awards, and made Lauryn the first woman to win Album of the Year with a debut. The world was ready for her next chapter, but Lauryn stunned everyone by vanishing.
No second album. No press tours.
No endless red carpet appearances.
Just silence.
Fans and critics were left grasping for answers.
Was it burnout? Ego?
Legal battles? The rumors swirled, but Lauryn later revealed her truth. Her retreat was a conscious rebellion. She called the entertainment industry spiritually toxic, a machine that tried to strip her of her identity and force her into a mold. Profit over purpose, image over soul. Lauryn refused. Instead of playing the game, she chose herself. She turned inward, devoted herself to her 6 children, deepened her spirituality, and sought healing over fame. Though she never released a second studio album, her rare live performances, unpolished, powerful, unforgettable, reminded the world that her voice was still a weapon of truth. And while she stepped away from the spotlight, her influence never dimmed. From Beyoncé to J. Cole, artists across generations still draw strength from her words and her defiance. Lauryn Hill remains a symbol of integrity in an industry built on compromise. She didn't fade away, she walked away on her own terms. And in doing so, she became even more legendary. D'Angelo. D'Angelo was once hailed as nothing less than the future of soul. Born Michael Eugene Archer, he stormed onto the scene in 1995 with Brown Sugar, a debut album so smooth and intoxicating it redefined neo-soul overnight. His velvet voice, raw talent, and organic sound instantly set him apart. But it was his 2000 masterpiece, Voodoo, that crowned him an R&B visionary. Debuting at #1 on the Billboard 200 and winning him a Grammy, the album carried a single that would change his life forever, untitled, How Does It Feel? The song's sultry, shirtless video transformed D'Angelo into an unwilling sex symbol. Suddenly, fans weren't screaming for his art, they were screaming for his body. What should have been triumph became torment. Instead of being celebrated for his genius, D'Angelo felt trapped in an image he never asked for. Behind the stage lights, he wrestled with depression, alcoholism, and buried trauma. The weight of fame and the prison of expectation pushed him out of the spotlight.
For over a decade, he vanished.
No interviews.
No albums.
Only whispers and speculation while he fought silently for his life and soul. But D'Angelo wasn't lost, he was healing. He turned to rehab, searching for clarity and refusing to return until he was ready, not just as an artist, but as a man. Then, in 2014, like a thunderclap in the quiet, he re-emerged with Black Messiah. Without warning, the album dropped, layered, political, and emotionally charged, and critics hailed it as a masterpiece. Yet even in his return, D'Angelo kept his distance from celebrity chaos. He appeared rarely, choosing peace over spectacle. His story isn't just about music, it's about survival. D'Angelo didn't disappear.
He reclaimed himself.
He chose restoration over destruction. And in doing so, he proved that true artistry doesn't always roar from center stage. Sometimes it whispers from the shadows, and still shakes the world.
Tina Campbell.
Tina Campbell, best known as one half of the Grammy-winning gospel duo Mary Mary, has long commanded audiences with her powerhouse vocals and unshakable faith. Alongside her sister Erica, she helped redefine modern gospel by blending its sacred roots with the fire of contemporary R&B. Together, they delivered crossover anthems like Shackles, Praise You, songs that not only soared on gospel charts but broke into the mainstream, making Faith feel both fresh and culturally relevant in the early 2000s. But while the music radiated joy, Tina's personal life was unraveling behind the spotlight. Her marriage to musician Teddy Campbell was shattered by a devastating truth: his repeated infidelities. The betrayal struck at the very core of her spirit, leaving her raw and broken, all while the world watched. Instead of concealing her pain, Tina chose radical honesty. She laid bare her heartbreak on their reality show and in interviews, a choice that drew both empathy and criticism. The pressure of performing, touring, and pretending to be unshaken eventually became unbearable. In a moment of remarkable courage, Tina stepped away from the stage to focus on her healing. She devoted herself to repairing her marriage, nurturing her 5 children, and rebuilding her faith. Out of that painful season came new purpose, a candid book titled I Need a Day to Pray and solo music that traced her journey through grief, forgiveness, and redemption. No longer bound by the relentless pace of Mary Mary's heyday, Tina began moving on her own terms, singing only when it aligned with her spirit and family values. Tina Campbell's exit from the spotlight wasn't a retreat, it was a transformation. She chose restoration over applause, proving that healing can echo louder than any hit record. Her story continues to resonate with fans, reminding us that authenticity, faith, and forgiveness are often more powerful and more fulfilling than fame itself.
Tyrese Gibson.
Tyrese Gibson is one of the rare few who conquered 2 worlds, an R&B singer with platinum hits and a Hollywood actor who became the face of billion-dollar franchises. His rise began in the late 1990s with the soulful ballad Sweet Lady, a song that crowned him the voice of romance for a generation. From there, he made the leap to the big screen, delivering breakout performances in Baby Boy, Transformers, and of course, the Fast and Furious saga. With charisma, drive, and sheer versatility, Tyrese became a household name. But while his career reached dazzling heights, his personal life fell apart. A bitter divorce and a bruising custody battle over his daughter left him broken. In 2017, the world watched in shock as a video of Tyrese, sobbing, exhausted, and pleading, "What more do you want from me?" went viral. That raw, unfiltered moment revealed the torment fame had buried beneath his polished exterior. It was a painful reminder that even stars aren't shielded from heartbreak. Tyrese later admitted that the entertainment industry offered little compassion. He felt exploited, misunderstood, and emotionally drained. Instead of suffering in silence, he did something few celebrities dare to do: he stepped back. He paused his music, paused his acting, and focused on what truly mattered: therapy, spirituality, and fatherhood. During his hiatus, he wrote a book, spoke publicly about mental wellness, and redefined what success meant on his own terms. When he finally returned, it wasn't for the charts, it was for the truth. His album Black Rose traded commercial polish for raw vulnerability, offering songs that felt like confessions more than singles. Tyrese's journey is a powerful reminder of the hidden costs of stardom. Rather than chase applause, he chose healing. Rather than cling to fame, he clung to self-preservation. And in that choice, he gave a voice to countless others struggling in silence behind the curtain of celebrity.
Tyan Watkins.
Tyan T-Boz Watkins wasn't just a singer, she was the heartbeat of TLC, one of the most groundbreaking girl groups in music history. Alongside Lisa Left Eye Lopez and Rosonda Chili Thomas, she helped redefine what it meant to be fearless, authentic, and socially conscious in R&B. With anthems like No Scrubs, Waterfalls, and Creep, TLC sold more than 65 million records worldwide, cementing their place as the best-selling American girl group of all time. But behind the spotlight and the stylish stage presence, T-Boz was waging a battle few could see. Born with sickle cell anemia, a life-threatening blood disorder, she endured chronic pain, exhaustion, and countless hospital stays while still performing for millions. Doctors once warned she wouldn't live past 30. Yet T-Boz defied every prediction. She pushed through flare-ups, conquered global tours, and refused to let her illness write her story. Tragedy struck in 2002 when Left Eye's sudden death shattered the group's foundation. The loss left T-Boz devastated, and continuing without her closest friend and creative partner became nearly unbearable. At the same time, she faced crushing financial struggles, including bankruptcy, a painful divorce, and the challenges of raising her daughter as a single mother. Eventually, T-Boz chose a different kind of strength. She stepped back from the relentless chase for fame, prioritizing her health and her role as a mother over record deals and tours. Music never disappeared from her life. She released a memoir, pursued solo projects, and reunited with Chili for special TLC performances, but the grind of superstardom no longer defined her. T-Boz made a powerful choice: to live, not just survive. She proved that real strength isn't only about fighting through pain, it's about knowing when to stop, heal, and protect what matters most. In walking away, she taught millions that no chart position, award, or spotlight is worth more than your life and well-being.
Maxwell.
Maxwell burst onto the scene in the mid-1990s and instantly redefined what soul could sound like. His debut album, Maxwell's Urban Hang Suite, 1996, wasn't just another R&B release, it was a revelation. With a silky falsetto, lush arrangements, and lyrics dripping with vulnerability, he created a sound both intimate and timeless. Songs like Ascension, Don't Ever Wonder, Whenever, Wherever, Whatever, Until the Cops Come Knockin' didn't scream for attention, they whispered, seduced, and lingered. While much of the charts were filled with glossy, radio-friendly R&B, Maxwell offered something different, something deeply human. His follow-ups, Embria, 1998, and the Grammy-winning Now, 2001, cemented his place among modern soul royalty. Critics hailed him as the future of R&B. Fans believed they were watching the rise of a superstar destined for decades at the top.
And then, silence.
For nearly 8 years, Maxwell vanished.
No albums.
No interviews.
No tours.
The man who had once poured his heart into every note disappeared into the shadows. Many wondered if he had quit for good. The truth, as Maxwell later confessed, was more complicated. The machine had drained him. The endless pressure to deliver hits, the grind of touring, and the push to fit into the industry mold had stripped away his joy. He felt disconnected, from himself, from his art, and from the meaning that had once fueled his music. Rather than force out soulless songs, Maxwell chose something radical in an industry that demands constant speed. He stopped. He stepped away, retreated from the spotlight, and gave himself permission to breathe.
To grow.
To wait until the music came from a place of truth again. In 2009, he returned with Black Summer's Night, a comeback so powerful it silenced every doubt. The album debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, proving that his magic hadn't faded, it had matured. Each track carried the weight of reflection, the polish of patience, and the fire of an artist who had reclaimed his purpose. Maxwell's story isn't just about hits and awards. It's about the courage to pause when the world demands motion, and the strength to protect one's art from being consumed by the machine. He didn't abandon music. He reclaimed it. And in doing so, he reminded us that true soul can never be rushed, it has to be lived.
India, Ari.
India, Ari was never just another R&B singer. She was a vessel of spirit, healing, and truth. With her velvet-smooth vocals, acoustic strings, and lyrics that spoke like prayers, she captured the soul of a generation. Bursting onto the scene in the early 2000s, her debut album Acoustic Soul earned 7 Grammy nominations in 2001, instantly setting her apart. Her follow-up, Voyage to India, brought home 2 Grammys, cementing her as a voice of authenticity in an industry often ruled by illusion. Songs like Video and I Am Not My Hair became more than hits, they were anthems. They gave power to women, especially black women, to rise above society's rigid beauty standards and reclaim their self-worth. Fans embraced her honesty, but behind the applause, the industry pushed back. Executives pressured her to become thinner, flashier, sexier, demanding she trade her truth for marketability. They wanted a product. She wanted to be a messenger. India refused. Time and again, she stepped away from the spotlight, describing the music industry as emotionally manipulative and spiritually draining. Success, she realized, wasn't worth the cost of her soul. Instead, she turned inward, embracing meditation, journaling, and spiritual retreats to realign with her purpose. She created her own imprint, Soulbird, releasing music on her own terms. Albums like Worthy, 2019, revealed a woman who had reclaimed her voice, her power, and her peace. Though she's no longer chasing mainstream charts, her influence runs deep. India. Ari stands as proof that walking away from the industry's illusion doesn't dim the light of a true artist. It makes it shine brighter, freer, and more unfiltered than ever before.
Cody Chestnut.
Cody Chestnut exploded onto the scene in 2002 with a headphone masterpiece, a raw, daring lo-fi double album crafted right in his bedroom. Spanning more than 36 tracks, it fused R&B, soul, funk, and rock into something unlike anything else on the airwaves. One track in particular, The Seed, caught fire when the Roots reimagined it as The Seed 2.0. That collaboration instantly shot Cody into the spotlight, earning him critical acclaim and the kind of industry attention most young artists only dream of. Suddenly, major labels came calling. World tours, million-dollar contracts, and instant fame were all within reach.
But Cody stunned everyone. He turned it all down.
To him, the industry felt like a machine that chewed up authenticity and spat out commercial products. He didn't want to become another commodity. Instead of playing along, Cody walked away. He chose a quieter life, stepping back to raise a family, focus on fatherhood, and stay true to his faith. It wasn't fear, it was conviction. A decade later, when he returned with Landing on 100 in 2012, it was on his own terms. The album wasn't about chasing radio hits, it was about delivering truth. Soulful, politically conscious, and deeply personal, it reflected his growth as an artist and as a man. Fans respected him even more for staying real in an industry built on compromise. Cody Chestnut may have slipped out of the mainstream spotlight, but in underground and indie circles, he's revered as a legend. He proved that walking away from fame isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of wisdom. By protecting his voice, he protected his soul.
Amel Larrieux.
Amel Larrieux was never meant to be a pop puppet. As the angelic voice of the 90s R&B duo Groove Theory, she helped pioneer a fresh blend of soul, hip-hop, and jazz. Their 1995 smash Tell Me became a defining anthem of the decade, critically praised, commercially unstoppable, and adored by fans who assumed she'd ride the wave straight into superstardom.
But Amel had other plans.
At the very height of Groove Theory's success, she shocked the industry by walking away. It wasn't about scandal or behind-the-scenes drama. It was about integrity. Amel found the pace of mainstream fame suffocating. The packaging, the commodification, the pressure to create music that wasn't true to her spirit. Instead of surrendering her artistry, she made a bold choice. She built her own lane. She founded Bliss Life Records, an independent label that gave her complete control, a daring move for a black woman in a male-dominated industry. Through it, she released albums like Infinite Possibilities, 2000 and Bravebird, 2004, projects that fused soul, classical, and experimental sounds into something entirely her own. They didn't dominate radio, but they cultivated a loyal cult following who cherished her authenticity. Her lyrics spoke of self-love, spirituality, motherhood, and freedom, themes drawn straight from her real life. Amel chose family over endless touring, homeschooling her children while embracing holistic living. She turned away from the red carpets and gossip blogs, yet within artist circles she became a figure of deep respect. Her music remains timeless, her career a testament to what it means to walk away from fame but gain something far more powerful, artistic liberation. In an industry that rewards conformity, Amel Larrieux chose independence. And by stepping out of the spotlight, she illuminated a brighter, truer path for every indie artist who would follow.
Sananda Mathreya.
Sananda Mathreya didn't just arrive in 1987, he erupted onto the music scene like a blazing comet. Under the name Terence Trent D'Arby, his debut album introducing the hardline shattered expectations, selling over 12 million copies worldwide and earning him a Grammy. With a voice that could glide from velvet smoothness to raw fire, and a style that blurred genres, critics hailed him as the heir to Prince and James Brown. His hit single Wishing Well soared to the top of the US charts, crowning him the next great soul icon. But behind the glittering success was a man unraveling. The industry demanded hit after hit on its own terms, boxing him in, misrepresenting his art, and fracturing his spirit. Fame had given him everything, yet stripped him of himself. After years of suffocating conflict, he made a decision so bold it seemed almost mythical. Terence Trent D'Arby was dead. In 2001, he declared his rebirth, officially changing his name to Sananda Mathreya. To the world, it looked bizarre, career suicide even. But to him, it was salvation. Shedding the skin of Terence meant reclaiming his humanity, escaping the shackles of expectation, and finally living as the man he believed he was born to be. Sananda fled the noise of the industry, settling in Italy, where he built his own studio and produced music on his own terms. No longer chasing radio play or Billboard charts, he released sprawling, conceptual projects like The Rise of the Zugrian Time Lords. He turned his back on the fame game, refusing mainstream interviews, shunning the spotlight, yet he never stopped creating. To this day, Sananda writes, produces, and releases music for a devoted international fanbase. His story is one of fearless reinvention, an artist who chose self-definition over industry validation, freedom over fame. By burying the name that made him a star, Sananda Mathreya didn't erase his legacy, he expanded it. In doing so, he became the architect of his own myth.
Tweet.
Tweet, born Charlene Keys, burst onto the R&B scene in the early 2000s with her sultry, genre-bending anthem Oops, Oh My, produced by Timbaland and featuring Missy Elliott. Bold, unapologetic, and dripping with confidence, the track was more than a hit, it was a declaration. It celebrated female sensuality and self-assurance at a time when few dared to sing about it so openly. Instantly, Tweet became the voice everyone was talking about. Her debut album Southern Hummingbird in 2002 proved she wasn't just a one-hit wonder. With smooth vocals, acoustic warmth, and lyrics that bare her soul, she was hailed as the next great neo-soul star, admired not just for her talent, but for her vulnerability. To the outside world, she was rising fast. But behind the lights and applause, Tweet was quietly unraveling. Fame didn't just bring red carpets and award nominations. It came with chains, pressure to look a certain way, to smile when she wanted to cry, to fit into an industry mold that suffocated her spirit. A naturally shy, introspective woman, Tweet began to feel trapped. The weight of it all led to anxiety, health struggles, and a deep depression. She admitted that even at the height of success, she felt empty, unfulfilled, like she was losing herself in an industry that didn't care about mental health or creative freedom. So, instead of breaking herself to please the world, Tweet made a daring choice. She walked away. She left the spotlight, turned inward, reconnected with her faith, and began the slow work of healing. She found strength in God, comfort in family, and peace in solitude. When she returned in 2016 with Charlene, it wasn't with flashy radio singles or desperate chart chases. It was raw, stripped down, deeply personal, the sound of a woman who had found her voice on her own terms. She no longer sang for industry approval, she sang because it mattered, because it felt true. Tweet's story isn't one of retreat but of resilience. She chose life over image, healing over hype. And in doing so, she reminded us all of something powerful. Walking away doesn't mean giving up, it means choosing survival and ultimately freedom.
Donell Jones.
In the late 1990s and early 2000s, Donell Jones was one of R&B's brightest stars, a voice that could glide between tender vulnerability and undeniable swagger. With timeless hits like Where I Wanna Be, You Know What's Up, and Shorty Got Her Eyes on Me, he became the soundtrack of love, heartbreak, and late-night confession. Fans connected because he wasn't just singing songs, he was telling their stories. His albums went gold and platinum, his singles climbed the charts, and his smooth, soulful style set him apart in a crowded era of R&B heavyweights. But behind the polished image and smooth vocals, Donell was crumbling. The same industry that gave him fame also tempted him with its darker side. Endless tours, relentless pressure, and the fast life pulled him into a cycle of alcohol and substance abuse.
To the world, he looked untouchable.
Privately, he was losing himself. The breaking point came when he realized he was missing precious moments with his children. Moments no amount of fame could replace. He knew if he didn't step away, he would lose everything. So he did something few artists have the courage to do. He walked away. He left the spotlight, hit pause on his career, and began a journey of healing. In that quiet space, he got sober, reconnected with his faith, and chose to be present as a father and a son. Later in interviews, he admitted that fame nearly cost him his soul. His disappearance wasn't about failure, it was about survival. When he came back different. With Lyrics in 2010 and 100% Free in 2021, Donell returned on his own terms. His music was deeper, more spiritual, more honest. It wasn't just about romance anymore, it was about growth, redemption, and hard-won wisdom. Donell Jones didn't just survive fame. He transcended it. His legacy isn't only his chart-topping hits, it's the courage to walk away, the strength to heal, and the power to return stronger than before.
Sunshine Anderson.
Sunshine Anderson burst onto the R&B scene in 2001 like a force of nature with her unforgettable hit Heard It All Before. Her debut album Your Woman soared to number 2 on the Billboard Top R&B/Hip Hop Albums chart, and her razor-sharp vocals paired with brutally honest lyrics struck a chord with women everywhere. Critics hailed her as the next soulful powerhouse, and fans believed she was destined to reign in R&B for years to come. But just as quickly as she rose, Sunshine stepped back. To many, it felt like she had vanished from the spotlight.
The truth, however, was far more personal and deeply human.
Sunshine Anderson didn't disappear. She chose a different path. Fame had given her recognition, but it also brought chaos and pressure that clashed with her longing for peace and stability. At the center of her decision was something bigger than the stage: motherhood. When she became a mom, Sunshine reevaluated everything. She didn't want to trade her daughter's childhood memories for red carpet appearances or Billboard charts. Instead, she poured herself into parenting, and in the process, leaned into her faith. Her spirituality became her anchor, giving her the courage to step away from an industry that never slowed down. That didn't mean she abandoned her music. On her own timeline, and on her own terms, she returned with Sunshine at Midnight, 2007, and The Sun Shines Again, 2010. These albums carried more personal depth, even if they arrived without the heavy promotional push of her debut. Sunshine Anderson's story is not one of fading, it's one of growth. She proved that walking away from fame doesn't mean failure. It can mean choosing wholeness over hustle, family over frenzy, and redefining success on your own terms.
Chrisette Michele.
Chrisette Michele seemed destined for greatness. With a voice that blended gospel soul, jazz's sophistication and R&B's passion, she rose to fame quickly, winning a Grammy in 2009 for Best Urban/Alternative Performance and delivering hits like Be OK, If I Have My Way, and Epiphany. Her artistry earned not only commercial success but also deep respect within the industry. But in 2017, one decision turned her world upside down. Chrisette agreed to perform at Donald Trump's presidential inauguration, a choice that, in a time of intense political division, ignited a firestorm. The backlash was swift and merciless. Fans turned away, fellow artists cut ties, her label dropped her, and cancelled shows piled up. Social media, once a place of celebration, became a battlefield of hostility. The fallout was devastating. Chrisette later confessed the toll was unbearable. She sank into depression, endured a heartbreaking miscarriage, and wrestled with suicidal thoughts. She felt abandoned by the very community and industry that had once embraced her. Though she explained that her intention was to promote unity, her voice was drowned out by outrage. And yet, instead of striking back, Chrisette chose silence. She stepped out of the spotlight and turned inward, seeking therapy, leaning on her faith, and grounding herself spiritually and musically.
Slowly, she rebuilt.
She re-emerged not under a major label, but on her own terms, releasing music independently and speaking openly about her struggles with mental health. Her story is not just about downfall, it's about survival. Chrisette Michele may have lost the glittering spotlight, but she gained something deeper: resilience, redemption, and a voice that now speaks not only in song but in testimony. One moment redefined her career, but it did not destroy her. Instead, it gave her the chance to discover her strength and rebuild her life with purpose.
Claudette Ortiz.
Claudette Ortiz first stepped into the spotlight as the lone female voice of the early 2000s R&B trio, City High. With her soft, melodic tone and striking beauty, she became the soul of their breakout hit What Would You Do?, a socially conscious anthem that set them apart. Her voice was the perfect balance to the group's gritty hip-hop edge, and fans were certain she was destined for solo stardom once City High's momentum slowed. But instead of seizing the moment, Claudette quietly slipped away from the industry. Behind the glamour, she was fighting battles no one saw. She had dated both of her groupmates, first Robbie Pardlow, then Ryan Toby, tangles that turned personal emotions into professional conflict. Add in poor management and the cutthroat politics of the music business, and Claudette began to feel like she was suffocating in a system that cared more about profits than her well-being. Away from the cameras, life grew even more complicated. Claudette became a single mother of 3, carrying the full weight of raising her children while trying to survive in an unforgiving industry. The pressure was crushing. And so, instead of forcing herself to bend to an industry that drained her, she made the bravest choice of all. She stepped back.
She chose peace. She chose family. She chose herself.
Years later, in 2013, she returned on R&B Divas, Los Angeles, allowing fans to finally see the woman behind the voice. Claudette spoke openly about her struggles with depression, rejection, and the empty promises of fame. The world learned that stardom didn't always equal happiness. Today she still sings, but only when her heart leads her to. She no longer chases validation, nor the spotlight. Claudette Ortiz's story isn't one of failure, it's one of quiet strength. A reminder that true courage is sometimes found not in holding onto the stage, but in walking away from it.
Bilal Saeed Oliver.
Bilal Saeed Oliver, known simply as Bilal, emerged at the dawn of the 2000s as one of the most extraordinary voices of the neo-soul movement. When his debut album Firstborn Second dropped in 2001, critics hailed him as the future of soul. With a voice that could glide like silk one moment and tear through raw emotion the next, he became both a fan favorite and a musician's musician. Collaborations with legends like Erykah Badu, Common, and The Roots only cemented his reputation as a rare talent destined for greatness. But just as the industry expected him to step into full-blown superstardom, Bilal did the unthinkable. His much-anticipated sophomore record, Love for Sale, 2006, was shelved by his label, dismissed as too experimental, too uncompromising, too risky. The album leaked online, and fans adored it, but officially, it never saw the light of day. That moment, his chance at a mainstream breakout, vanished in smoke. Disillusioned, Bilal turned his back on the big label machine. He refused to let executives dictate his sound or squeeze his artistry into radio-friendly formulas. Instead, he sought freedom on the independent scene. Albums like Airtight's Revenge, 2010, and In Another Life, 2015, pushed boundaries with bold experimentation and emotional fire. They didn't dominate the charts, but they resonated with depth, and they proved that Bilal would never be boxed in. Bilal chose integrity over fame. He refused to play the industry's game, and in doing so, he carved out something far greater than fleeting hits: artistic sovereignty. While he may not headline award shows or dominate Billboard, he holds a place of deep reverence among peers and loyal fans who recognize the power of his vision. Bilal didn't disappear.
He transcended.
He showed the world that true artistry doesn't ask for permission. By stepping out of the spotlight, Bilal found something the system could never give him: freedom, authenticity, and a legacy as one of music's most fearless innovators.
Lalah Hathaway.
Lalah Hathaway, daughter of the legendary soul icon Donny Hathaway, was born into music royalty, and from the very beginning, she carried that legacy with breathtaking grace. When she stepped onto the scene in 1990 with her self-titled debut album, it became clear she wasn't just living in her father's shadow. Her velvety contralto, technical brilliance, and fearless genre blending instantly set her apart, earning respect across jazz, R&B, and gospel alike. Over the years, Hathaway became celebrated not only for her rich tone but also for a rare gift few singers possess: the ability to sing multiple notes at once, known as multiphonic singing. That extraordinary skill, along with collaborations with heavyweights like Marcus Miller, Robert Glasper, and Snarky Puppy, cemented her reputation as a true artist's artist. Her talent was undeniable, and in 2014 she earned her first Grammy for Best R&B Performance, eventually collecting 5 in total. But unlike so many of her peers, Hathaway never chased the trappings of fame. She avoided red carpets, tabloid headlines, and the endless cycle of image reinvention. Instead, she chose intimacy over spectacle, artistry over marketing. Albums like Where It All Begins, 2011, and Honestly, 2017, showcased her fearless creativity, weaving together soul, jazz, funk, and electronic textures with lyrical depth. She brought her music directly to audiences through intimate performances, masterclasses, and live storytelling, forging a bond built on authenticity rather than hype. Hathaway's success was never about chart positions or mainstream trends. For her, it was about impact, legacy, and truth. By walking away from the fame-obsessed path many expected her to follow, she carved out a singular space in the music world, one defined by timeless artistry. In an industry that so often rewards flash over substance, Lalah Hathaway proved that true greatness is not about chasing the spotlight, but about creating music that outlives it. Rez, born Sherry Renee Ballard, burst onto the scene in the early 2000s with a sound that refused to be boxed in. Her debut album, How I Do 2001, was a fearless fusion of R&B, rock, soul, and hip-hop, genres that at the time rarely mingled so seamlessly. Critics hailed it as groundbreaking, and songs like Golden Boys and They Say Vision quickly became underground anthems. Yet for all its brilliance, the industry didn't know what to do with her. She didn't fit neatly into radio formats or marketing strategies, and instead of celebrating her originality, her label sidelined her. Where others might have bent to industry demands, Residential refused. She walked away from the mainstream machine, choosing independence over conformity. She toured with acts like Gnarls Barkley and Talib Kweli, collaborated with artists who valued freedom over formulas, and released music on her own terms. Beyond the studio, she modeled, explored film, and carved out a creative life that kept her close to the arts while free from corporate control. Residential has spoken candidly about the emotional toll of being overlooked, especially as a black woman daring to defy boundaries in a world quick to dismiss what it cannot label. But she never let that dismissal define her. How I Do endures as a cult classic, cherished by fans who recognize her courage to innovate without compromise.
Rez didn't vanish, she evolved.
By rejecting the fame machine, she protected her artistry, her voice, and her soul. And in doing so, she built a legacy as a fearless genre-defying pioneer who proved that authenticity leaves a mark long after trends fade.
Van Hunt.
Van Hunt burst onto the scene in the early 2000s as one of the most exciting new voices in soul and alternative R&B. His self-titled 2004 debut wasn't just an album, it was a statement. With tracks like Dust and Seconds of Pleasure, Hunt blended funk, soul, rock, and pop into something fresh and unpredictable. Critics hailed his originality, praising the sharp intelligence behind his sound, and he quickly earned a Grammy nomination. By 2007, he was holding a Grammy in his hands for his electrifying collaboration with John Legend and Joss Stone on Family Affair. But just when it seemed like Van Hunt was poised for mainstream stardom, his career hit a wall. His label refused to release his second album, Popular, calling it too experimental. Hunt could have bent to their demands, but instead, he walked away.
He chose art over compromise.
That unreleased project, bold, fearless, and far ahead of its time, eventually leaked online, becoming a cult favorite and proof of his uncompromising vision. Frustrated but undeterred, Hunt carved his own path. On the independent scene, he became a one-man powerhouse, writing, producing, and releasing music on his own terms. Albums like What Were You Hoping For? 2011, and The Fun Rises, The Fun Sets, 2015, revealed an even deeper, bolder creative force. He never chased radio hits or watered down his music for fame. Instead, he protected his artistic freedom, choosing authenticity over applause. For years, he stayed under the radar, building a loyal following of fans who valued his truth. More recently, his romance with actress Halle Berry brought him briefly back into the spotlight, but even then, Hunt remained centered on one thing: the music. Van Hunt's story isn't one of failure or rejection, it's a story of rebellion. He didn't just turn his back on the industry's idea of success. He tore down the myth that true artistry requires conformity. And in doing so, he proved that sometimes the greatest victory is winning entirely on your own terms.
Rohson Patterson.
Rohson Patterson may not be a household name, but in the world of true R&B and soul, he stands as one of its most authentic and unwavering voices. His journey began as a child actor on the hit series Kids Incorporated, but by the mid-1990s he had shifted his focus to music, releasing his self-titled debut album. Though it wasn't a blockbuster on the charts, the record was praised for its velvety vocals and heartfelt songwriting. Tracks like Stop By and Where You Are revealed a fresh, soulful sound that set him apart from the crowd. Over the years, Patterson's albums, Love in Stereo, 1999, After Hours, 2004, and Wines and Spirits, 2007, cemented his reputation among soul aficionados. They weren't chasing trends or designed for pop radio. Instead, they carried sincerity, artistry, and a refusal to compromise. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Patterson never bowed to the pressures of fame or mainstream approval. His music blended gospel, funk, jazz, and even electronic elements into something that defied easy labels. He wasn't interested in spectacle, he was interested in healing, uplifting, and creating music with depth. What makes his story even more powerful is his honesty as a gay black man in an industry that often pushes queer voices into the shadows. Patterson never allowed his identity to be hidden or commercialized. He carried it with quiet strength, channeling it into his art without apology. While others sought magazine covers and award shows, Patterson built a loyal following in intimate venues, connecting deeply with fans who valued his raw emotion and unmatched vocal brilliance. Even in his later works like Heroes and Gods, 2019, Patterson proved that his artistry hadn't dimmed. His music remained purposeful, soulful, and uncompromising. He didn't walk away because the industry rejected him, he walked away from its shallow expectations. In a world obsessed with spectacle over substance, Patterson became a beacon of integrity, showing that true greatness lies not in applause, but in authenticity. And he's not alone. In this journey, we look at 20 R&B artists who chose purpose over popularity, peace over pressure, and truth over trophies. Their decisions to step back from the spotlight weren't signs of weakness, they were bold declarations of self-worth. So we ask you, which artist's journey inspired you most? And do you believe that sometimes walking away can be even more powerful than staying in the game? Share your thoughts below, we'd love to hear from you.